Torrential rain caused deadly flooding in La Martinica, Zapopan, Jalisco late Tuesday, July 15th into Wednesday, July 16, 2025, submerging streets and resulting in 1 death and 12 injuries. Municipal officials described the event as the most severe urban flooding in the past 12 years. The storm delivered 83 millimeters of rain in less than 2 hours, an amount typically expected over the course of a month. The rapid accumulation of water was exacerbated by runoff from elevated zones such as Mercado del Mar and the Rio Blanco Basin, which funneled into the Santiago River. The lack of adequate infrastructure in certain neighborhoods intensified the flooding, turning streets into rivers and trapping residents inside their homes. Tragically, the flooding claimed the life of a 3-month-old infant, who died when a structural fence collapsed during the destruction of a residential property. 12 others were injured, including a 4-year-old child who sustained serious fractures. Emergency responders provided immediate medical attention to several victims suffering from trauma-related injuries. At least 144 homes were damaged, many severely. Streets such as Paseo de los Manzanos were littered with overturned vehicles, mud, debris, and fallen trees. In one particularly harrowing scene, 7 cars were swept away and deposited against buildings, their fronts buried in mud and their contents scattered across the street. A funeral home near the collapse site suffered extensive structural damage and inventory loss, with coffins and furniture destroyed by floodwaters. Major intersections and thoroughfares were rendered impassable, including Lopez Mateos Avenue, Arcos del Milenio, Avenida Patria, Industria Textil and Periférico, Bosques de San Isidro and Valle de San Isidro. In the industrial neighborhood, the intersection of AV del Valle de San Isidro and Boulevard Bosques de San Isidro became a raging torrent, prompting full road closures. A viral video captured a man clinging to a tree to avoid being swept away by the current. The Zapopan Civil Protection Unit, State Fire Department, and Mexican Army activated Plan DN3E, the National Emergency Protocol. Rescue teams responded to dozens of calls, including a dramatic vehicle entrapment at Industria Textil and Industria de la Construction. Specialized units were deployed to pump water from flooded homes and clear debris from critical infrastructure. Temporary shelters were opened for displaced families, and municipal teams distributed essential supplies such as mattresses, food, and clothing. The Zapopan municipal government, led by Mayor Juan Jose Frangi, coordinated with state and federal agencies to assess damage and provide relief. Engineers are currently evaluating the structural integrity of 14 homes with severe damage to determine if they are safe for reoccupation. Mayor Frangi described the rainfall as highly atypical and emphasized the urgent need for improved urban planning and flood mitigation infrastructure. He confirmed that the city is considering declaring a state of emergency, which would unlock additional resources for recovery and reconstruction. Governor Enrique Alfaro also expressed concern over the increasing frequency of extreme weather events in Jalisco and pledged support for long-term resilience strategies. The Zapopan flood is part of a broader pattern of extreme weather affecting western Mexico. Meteorologists have linked the event to tropical moisture surges from the Pacific, intensified by climate variability. Similar flooding was reported in neighboring Guadalajara, where underpasses and major avenues were submerged, and emergency rescues were carried out. Social media was flooded with images and videos showing the scale of destruction. One clip showed vehicles stacked against buildings, surrounded by mud, tree branches, and household items like strollers, toys, and furniture. Another video captured rescue workers wading through waist-deep water, guiding residents to safety. Heavy rainfall triggered severe flash flooding in Nogales, Sonora, Mexico, on July 15th and continued into July 16th, leaving streets submerged, homes damaged, and residents scrambling for safety. The deluge, which dropped between 25 to 50 millimeters of rain in just a few hours, overwhelmed drainage systems and caused widespread disruption across the city. The sudden downpour transformed urban roads into rivers, stranding vehicles and prompting Protection Civil to issue urgent warnings. Authorities reported minor landslides in hillside neighborhoods and advised residents to seek shelter from dangerous currents and lightning strikes. Emergency crews were dispatched to assist stranded motorists and evacuate vulnerable households. Floodwaters inundated homes in low-lying districts, with some neighborhoods reporting water levels reaching up to half a meter inside residences. The affected zone spanned approximately 150 to 200 square kilometers, primarily within the urban core of Nogales. Local officials are currently assessing structural damage and coordinating cleanup efforts. Residents were urged to avoid flooded areas and monitor official alerts. Temporary shelters were opened for displaced families, and road closures were implemented to prevent further accidents. The city's emergency services remain on high alert, as forecasts suggest continued rainfall through the week. The flooding in Sonora comes amid a broader weather crisis across Mexico, with tropical systems like Hurricane Eric contributing to extreme rainfall in multiple states. While the storms have helped alleviate drought conditions in northern Mexico, they've also unleashed destructive floods in urban centers. Meanwhile, a powerful hailstorm struck the capital city of Tlaxcala and surrounding municipalities on Tuesday afternoon, causing widespread damage to infrastructure, flooding, and traffic disruptions. The storm, which began around 3 p.m., brought unusually large hailstones and intense rainfall, overwhelming drainage systems and prompting emergency responses across the region. The hailstorm led to the collapse of several structures, including the roof of the historic Hotel San Francisco in downtown Tlaxcala. Fortunately, no injuries were reported, but the damage was extensive. Streets in the city center and neighborhoods like Colonia Miraflores were heavily flooded, making pedestrian and vehicle movement nearly impossible. In Zapopan, a large tree fell, damaging parked vehicles and obstructing traffic. Zapopan experienced significant waterlogging, though no residential damage was reported. In Torrential, the roofs of multiple warehouses collapsed under the weight of accumulated hail. The State Coordination of Civil Protection, CEPC, activated emergency protocols in collaboration with the State Security Secretariat and Fire Department. Authorities urged residents to avoid travel, especially in areas prone to landslides and flooding. Temporary road closures were implemented to ensure safety. This event follows a trend of record-breaking precipitation in Tlaxcala during 2025, with rainfall levels increasing by 152% compared to the previous year. Municipalities such as Tlaxcala, Zacatelco, and Tlaxcala City have reported the highest rainfall accumulations, raising concerns about climate-related impacts on infrastructure and agriculture. Governor Lorena Cuellar Cisneros described the hailstorm as highly unusual, noting that areas like Tlaxcala and Nogales were particularly affected. She emphasized the need for improved urban planning and disaster preparedness in light of changing weather patterns.
Ahí sí podemos salir. Mírenos.